what the Delhi police did was wrong. Now, whether they were seeking instructions or whether they were waiting instructions, we don't know. But obviously, the delay shows that they were waiting for something. So I consider MEA's action unnecessarily discriminatory. And once again, I repeat, MEA should have had a word with the Chief Secretary before taking the decision. There's no good reason for preventing, in this manner, a meeting between Mamdani and the Chief Minister of Telangana, Reddy. If you have an allergy to something, well, then I suppose I should respect your allergy.
Or perhaps in a bit to cure the allergy, won't it suit the Prime Minister of the world's largest democracy to take questions and answer questions from the media?
That would be wonderful. In fact, India should speak up. India should speak up as India. India should speak up as the leader of the global South. And India should speak up as a rising power.
And for that, the Prime Minister needs to take questions.
Well, he needs to take a decision.
Fabian, sir, thank you so much for joining us this week once again. Like always, a lot of ground to cover, a lot of questions to ask. Let's start with the Indian questions around India and what happened in our country. I want to start with the meeting between US Ambassador Sergio Gore, US Ambassador to India, his meeting with the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Omar Abdullah. Now, following the meeting, Ambassador Gore said that Jammu and Kashmir is an important part of India, and this was a comment that was, of course, not taken pretty well in Islamabad. MEA also issued a rather guarded response, and this response is significant whichever way you look at it. What is your interpretation of what Ambassador Sergio Gore said on Jammu and Kashmir?
Well, let me put it this way. I found a section of the media going gaga over it. The United States is sort of, recognizing that J&K is an integral part of India. Well, my take will be different. J&K is an integral part of India. Of course, there is POK. We will do something about it at the right time in the right manner. We don't intend to send our army and just, conquer it. We will attend to it. But we don't need any endorsement from anyone else. And I was not happy to see the tone in the media coverage as though, we have got the endorsement from the United States. And they were overjoyed. Now, as regards Pakistan reaction, that was to be expected. Pakistan wants to keep this matter alive. Now, what Pakistan has to understand is that there is no sense in opening up a file which is already closed. And if you want to open it, well, the only part of the file that is to be opened up is POK. But, India is not going to take any military action or anything like that. And so Pakistan's action, of course, is to be expected. But that's all. I certainly don't intend to conclude, that this shows a change in Washington's attitude and all that.
So you're saying India should not pay too much heed to what Ambassador Gore said on Jammu and Kashmir?
Well, we should take it in our stride. Don't get overexcited about it. This is the first time a US ambassador visiting after the abrogation of 370 and all that. No, it's okay. We do what we have to do, and the rest of the world can take note of it, but we are not seeking endorsement.
I take your point. Let's move on to another important story that played out as high drama in Delhi when the leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi, visited the police station with Sahil Locha, victim of pellet gun firing on the 20th of July. It took the LOP to physically go to the police station, speak to the cops, and then stage a dharna for 7 hours for an FIR to be registered. The FIR of a pellet gun victim who was running from pillar to post to get his complaint registered by the cops, and that finally happened. But how do you see the scenes that played out earlier this week with this pellet gun
Well,
victim and the leader of opposition?
this is the most unfortunate because if you look at the history of FIR, it goes back to the 1861 Police Act. And the first FIR was lodged 162 years ago. Now, whether under the 1861 Police Act or under the, BNSS, um, FIR is to be lodged statutorily. There should be no delay at all. Point number one. Point number two, the police station should not seek any instructions or wait for any instruction from anyone, any politician or anyone else. Not even from, the director general. No, the station chief has to take the call. And it is necessary to sort of, accept the FIR or as fast as possible. So what the Delhi police did was wrong. Now, whether they were seeking instructions or whether they were waiting instructions, we don't know. But obviously, the delay shows that they were waiting for something, and we can only guess, and most probably for instructions. This is sad.
The other big story that is spiraled into a political row is the Chief Minister of Telangana being denied clearance by the Ministry of External Affairs for his visit to the US. Now, Revanth Reddy was in UK when news came in that the MEA has denied the clearance for Reddy to go to US. From there, he came back to Hyderabad, and there was a lot of anger that the Chief Minister and Congress leaders expressed at the MEA. Now, the chief minister said this was against federal cooperatism, and the MEA just said that certain meetings in the US itinerary of Revanth Reddy were not appropriate. Supposedly, there are reports that suggest that he was supposed to meet New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani, and that was one of the bone of contentions. But I just want to elaborate on this point because this is an important nuance to this. Revanth Reddy says, I am an opposition chief minister and hence I am being targeted because I was actually going to US to get investments for my state. But on the other hand, you have the same, another chief minister from another state, but part of the BJP from the state of Gujarat. He is given clearance by the MEA to go for his Vibrant Gujarat Investors Summit. Isn't it unfortunate that you are now seeing something of this sort play out where the MEA is accused of selecting chief ministers who go abroad and who they meet and how this plays out?
Well, I agree with you. Let me explain. I had dealt with it as Joint Secretary Coordination during my time. You see, MEA had to give, at that time, the political clearance. And, since we were short of foreign exchange, secretary expenditure in the finance ministry had to give the financial clearance. Now, as regards the political clearance in regard to chief ministers or other ministers of state, well, one used to put it up to EAM, but it was a routine thing. I never came across any instance where it was the EAM sort of rejected it. You know what I mean? And we used to do it so fast. And another thing is that if we had any doubt, then I used to speak to the chief secretary. Okay, we have got this, and this point we need clarification. So MEA, in fact, MEA has hinted that the Andhra chief minister was going to meet Mamdani. And also, I think either Secretary of State or or Vice President. Now, it's like this. If MEA had any such reservations, correct thing will be to speak to the Chief Secretary of Andhra Pradesh and get it clarified. And if MEA feels that a particular appointment is not in order, well, then MEA can say that, and the state government will take appropriate action. In this case, I note from the media that the Telangana chief minister has said that he never had an appointment with the mayor, you know, and that his primary purpose was to get investment for his state. Rising Telangana 2047, and also he wanted to sign some agreements with universities, Harvard, and all that. So I consider MEA's action unnecessarily discriminatory. And once again, I repeat, MEA should have had a word with the chief secretary before taking the decision. That is the only way. We talk to each other and sort out problems rather than take a negative attitude. Oh, I won't let you go.
But just to build on this a little further, clearly the meeting, a supposed meeting between Revanth Reddy and Zohran Mamdani was a sticking point. Even if Revanth Reddy goes ahead and meets Zohran Mamdani, both are elected leaders, and I believe they would have the right to meet each other regardless of what Mamdani's views are on India. How do you see this? Was the MEA, did the MEA get this absolutely wrong?
I think so. In fact, even if the meeting takes place, the heavens will not fall. After all, Mamdani is, very. In fact, there was some explanation in the media. If at all, he should meet the governor of New York. Now, let me put it this way: you just compare the budget of the city of New York and with the budget of any of the Indian states. It's so huge, and the powers of the mayor are so huge. So, this is all nitpicking. You know what I mean? There's no good reason for preventing in this manner a meeting between Mamdani and the Chief Minister of Telangana, Reddy.
Since we're talking of US, India, and Sergio Gore, there's another very interesting comment that came in from Ambassador Sergio Gore at the Economic Times World Leaders Forum. He said that India wanted no questions at the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Donald Trump on the sidelines of the G7, but Donald Trump forgot. And then there was a 45-minute presser where you had the Indian Prime Minister and the American President. It takes everybody back to what we saw in Norway, the Prime Minister's policy to not take questions and to do it with somebody like Trump, who apparently forgot that this was the instruction from India. What do you make of India's instruction? Because this is something that we've spoken about multiple times in the past, but coming from the ambassador, that India had outrightly said that no questions at this meeting.
Let me put it this way. It is customary and it makes good sense to have a joint press conference. But at the same time, if the visiting Prime Minister is allergic to it, well, then obviously the host should oblige. Now, as you said, in this case, the host forgot about it. Now, the MEA explanation that President Trump is unpredictable, well, I'm sorry, I cannot buy it entirely. I agree that President Trump is unpredictable, but India or the Indian Prime Minister should be able to deal with that, because President Trump is President Trump and we cannot change him. So, and we have to deal with him in our private conversation as well as in a public conversation. So, it will be better. But as I said, if you have an allergy to something, well, then I suppose I should respect your allergy.
Or perhaps in a bit to cure the allergy, won't it suit the Prime Minister of the world's largest democracy to take questions? And answer questions from the media?
That would be wonderful. In fact, India should speak up. India should speak up as India. India should speak up as the leader of the global south. And India should speak up as a rising power.
And for that, the Prime Minister needs to take questions.
Well, he needs to take a decision.
All right. Let's move on to the next topic. And this is a leaked audio clip of gangster Goldie Brar. He has claimed in a leaked audio that he killed Khalistani separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. And he made this during a conversation. Goldie Brar made this claim during a conversation with another Khalistani separatist, Paramjeet Singh Pamma. And that audio clip is going viral where he said that Brar and his team had to kill Nijjar because these people were using youngsters to sell drugs, and everyone has to face consequences of their actions. What is your reaction to this on what Goldie Brar said? So?
Well, it is rather intriguing that this terrorist is worried about somebody else, sort of abusing the children and making them drug carriers. Well, we should all be worried. But let me dig a little deeper into it. I read it in the Indian Express, and in the text it says it is not very clear who is speaking. Point number one. And second is that it is going on in the social media. Now, where did it come from? And the third point is that he is, he is working under Lawrence Bishnoi. And where is Lawrence Bishnoi? He is in Sabarmati Central Jail, Ahmedabad, state of Gujarat, for how long? For so many years. And we also are told by the media that he has got a smartphone, he is digitally very smart, he can send out instructions. But we are also told that he is under, what shall I say, a special category of detention. That is, he is not supposed to use a cell phone. So, and don't forget that sometime back it was the FBI which told us that Bishnoi was responsible for this, that, and all that. What is happening? If Bishnoi is under our custody, can't we interrogate him and get the facts right? It is absolutely puzzling.
Let's move on to the next topic, and this is about the meeting of India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. He is in China amid tensions at the line of actual control in Arunachal Pradesh, where the Chinese have been trying to assert territorial claims. Now, this meeting, of course, comes before ahead of the SCO and the BRICS summits. What is the significance of this visit of NSA Ajit Doval to China in the context that India-China relations are?
Generally speaking, before any summit meeting between India and China, this sort of activity takes place. You might recall long time ago, Prime Minister Modi was supposed to go to China for a similar multilateral summit, and then we had problem at Doklam, and suddenly there was an agreement. Now, I am told that the agreement was that initially, as a first step, India should withdraw 100 meters. And after that, China would withdraw 100 meters. And then China would also withdraw another 100 meters first. And then, of course, India should. Now, China did not do that. China did not withdraw the second time. In other words, China did not implement the agreement, but they managed to get Prime Minister Modi to go for the summit. Now, there is a summit, SCO, and there is, of course, the summit of the BRICS also. So that seems to be the thing. Now, you mentioned Arunachal Pradesh. As we know, people in Arunachal Pradesh are saying Chinese are intruding. And Minister Rijiju, who is from the area, he says no, no such intrusion. Now, this is very difficult to understand. If the local people are saying, my view is that they cannot be wrong. And I don't think government of India has given us a proper response to it. And also don't forget the Chinese made, some renamed some areas and all that. So Chinese incursion into Arunachal Pradesh is happening, and let us hope that the world will take it up, and there will be some positive results. But let us see.
Let's move on to India's other neighbor, Bangladesh. We spoke about it in the previous episode as well. This time, we've seen some comments by Indian politicians over the Farakka Treaty, particularly from the state of Bihar. You've had MPs, the JDU National Working President and Rajya Sabha MP said the Indian government should not renew this pact. And the Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar, who also handles the state's water resources portfolio, he said in a meeting with the External Affairs Minister, he said that there are concerns regarding the Farakka Treaty and how it is proved to be detrimental for Bihar's interests. Can you first tell us what this treaty is about and why is it that now Indian state, particularly Bihar, is pushing back against renewing this treaty with Bangladesh?
No, it's like this. India is the upper riparian state. That is, the river goes from India to Bangladesh. In fact, there are about 56 cross-border rivers. Now, the thing is this, water sharing is a delicate matter, and at times the upper riparian state tend to dictate terms. Now, India should be careful about this because while India is the upper riparian state vis-a-vis Pakistan and Bangladesh, China is the upper riparian state vis-a-vis India. So if India as the upper riparian state take a tough line with Pakistan, the Indus Treaty abeyance and all that, and with Bangladesh, well, China is going to take a tougher line with us. So India has to do the right thing under international law and also, what shall I say, judicious diplomacy. Because with Bangladesh, let me make it very clear. I mentioned about 56 cross-border rivers, about 4,000-kilometer border, cultural links, same language, history. Let me make it very clear. If, Mujibur Rahman was considered the father of Bangladesh, now, of course, some people are wanting to say something else. It was Indira Gandhi who is the mother, because without her action, Bangladesh would not have come into being in December 1971 in the manner it did. It was the India that shed blood and put an end to the genocide that the West Pakistan Army was perpetrating. Okay? Now, Bangladesh should not forget that. So, geography, history, culture, economics, because not only, the border, but also the complementarity of the two economies. All these make it absolutely necessary for the two countries to have good neighborly relations. And in this case, I'm sorry to say, India could have acted with better judgment. Because when Sheikh Hasina came, as I have been saying all along, it was a correct thing to have given her the asylum. But it would have been also correct to find her some other place after a short while. And now that they are asking for her return under the 2013 bilateral extradition treaty, India should return her. And the treaty says that a person against whom there is a verdict of more than 1 year's imprisonment should be returned. You see, so India is unnecessarily complicating matters. And something, I have heard some former Indian high commissioners some time back saying that, no, no, she was so good to us when she was in power. Now, this is, what shall I say, replacing sentiment for diplomacy, being nostalgic about something else. And another thing is that another former high commissioner some time back said, oh, she might go back to Bangladesh in triumph. That is, she will regain power. Now, if this is a way we assess political developments in a neighboring country, I'm sorry, something is wrong somewhere. India has to study what is happening in Bangladesh carefully, and India has to take decisions which are in India's interest. And one last point, let us not forget that Pakistan, China, and America are working very hard in Bangladesh to increase their influence. Now, I do not know whether all the three are working together against India, but I'm reasonably certain that at times Pakistan and China do work jointly against India's interest.
All right. The last three questions before we end this conversation, and we'll keep this brief. First is about the SIR. You've spoken about it. You've described at length how this process is time-consuming and confusing as well. We've had two former diplomats, one Mr. Navdeep Suri, and more recently another one, 75-year-old Ramesh Chander. They've been asked to furnish additional documents to prove that they are eligible voters. Diplomats, decorated diplomats who have served the country all these years are now being asked to furnish their eligibility to become a voter, a legal voter in voter rolls. How do you see this, especially that you also have had some doubts over how this process is being undertaken by DCI?
It is ridiculous to ask Ambassador Navdeep Suri to prove his Indian citizenship. There is a limit to, being ridiculous. Now, SIR, well, my expansion of this acronym, SIR, as being practiced, it is senseless, intimidating, and reckless. I was reading that, there is a Form 7 which political parties can fill up, and also any individual can fill up. And there have been cases, one individual filling up so many forms, in bulk, and giving it to the local authorities. Now, it is believed, there of course has to be investigated, that somebody is behind this and wanting to delete certain names from the list. And these names could be of the minorities or of women and other things. Now, this is absolutely wrong. A careful exercise where somebody has moved from Bihar to Kerala. That's correct. Or somebody has moved from this world to the next. That's again correct. Or somebody has moved the house, from where it was to another district. That's also correct. But that is not, I'm sorry to say, being done if they are spending the time on checking Ambassador Suri's and the other ambassadors' credentials, as to their national citizenship status. Something is wrong, and this should be put an end to. And we expect the judiciary to do that, and we expect the opposition to take it up, and maybe Gen Z also should take it up, because it will be their fathers and girls and grandfathers.
Speaking of Gen Z, the penultimate question, everybody is trying to woo the Gen Z, this energetic, enthusiastic generation, political parties, student organizations, and pressure groups. Everybody wants Gen Z on their side. What is your view on that, sir?
Well, first of all, let me mention about student suicides. today's paper we read about Delhi IIT, a student, MSc Physics, committing suicide. And the students went to the director and wanted action. Now, I checked into this. According to the National Crimes Record Bureau, NCRB, in the year 2024, there were 14,488 student suicides. That works out to 40 a day. Imagine. And there has been an 80% surge in 10 years. And the number was 818 in 2014. Now, these suicides, student suicides, account for about 7.5 to 8.5% of total suicides. Now, if politicians, including Prime Minister Modi, who said that they are our future, well, why are we neglecting? Why are we ignoring this fact of suicide? Has anyone talked about it? Has any MP raised the matter? And without the MP raising, why couldn't the central government do something about it? Find out why is it happening and what can be done to prevent it. Now, coming to, the political parties running after them, well, that is to be expected. Contextually, the Gen Z, which was active, that is, the Cockroach Janata Party, one or two of the leaders have an AAP connection, Aam Aadmi Party connection. Congress also tried to sort of, have some influence with some success. You know what Rahul Gandhi did. Even about the FIR. He went and he was there for 6 hours with Priyanka, or 7 hours. So that is there. Now, the BJP says that, in fact, Mohan Bhagwat has said it, and the BJP president has said it, nice things about the youth. But, it's one thing to say things. Unless your words are followed by action, I'm sorry, I cannot take you seriously. So let us wait when the words of the politicians will be followed by action.
And the final question on One Nation, One Election. Nobody knows when that bill will come, but there's a lot of speculation on whether this could be implemented as early as 2029 general elections. What is your sense like, sir?
I do not think the idea makes any sense. Let me give you a thought experiment. We have one nation, one election in 2029 or any time later. And within 7 days, you are in Mumbai. The government of Maharashtra falls. And there is no way another government can be formed. The government would need a majority. Then are you going to keep Maharashtra under the president's rule for the next 5 years almost? Are you? And suppose, let's go on with the thought experiment. 4 other states, the government fall in the next 3 weeks. So are we going to do that? Or are we going to have election? In fact, one advocate, pro-government advocate, we may have election in such a case, but such that the duration of the newly elected assembly will be not 5 years, but 5 years minus 1 week, 5 years minus 6 months. Tell me, once you have the election, you have already sort of, your one nation, one election has disappeared. And tell me, why do you need that? One argument given is expenditure. Well, I suppose democracy deserves some expenditure. So that is not the point. Another thing is that, that prevents normal government activity and all that. No, that's not true. And then don't forget, India is, it's a federalist structure. There is one government, union government in Delhi, then there are state governments. Now, the problems which I may have, or I, as a citizen of Delhi or of Kerala, where I come from, well, those problems are not necessarily the same as the problems facing India. Obviously, they are not the same. So, for the state election, I will vote in a particular way. For the other election, I might vote in a different way. Now, why do you sort of? And another thing is that somebody wants to have control by having a single electoral roll, right from the parliament, right up to the panchayat. Now, that is again wrong. Let the states handle it. And one more thing, after the election, the ECI doesn't tell us how many had voted. Now, in an ideal world, the district election official should tell us what happened in his or her district. Put it on the net. Why should it be the headquarters that should be saying it? So, there is serious need to reform our system.
On that note, KP Fabian sir, thank you so much for joining us this week. It was lovely talking to you. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, and thank you.